North of Burma's central plains is an exotic and fascinating land. Shan State, the largest state in Southeast Asia on the eastern side of Myanmar. Once 40 Shan monarchs ruled here. They lived in hostile times. Burmese kings and Chinese warlords fought against them to gain control of their fertile land. We begin our journey through Shan State at Inle Lake. The magical beauty of this body of water has attracted and fascinated people since time immemorial. The unique lake is home to the Inthas, the sons of the lake, as this Burmese people is also known. The Kuan-Yin Hotel is an ideal starting point for various excursions on and around the lake. Soon there's something that catches our eye. A fisherman prepares to cast his net. It is believed that the Inthas settled in the Inlay Lake region in the 18th century in order to escape the wars and constant oppression that they had encountered in the south of the country. Maing Tauk is well known for its traditional market and is popular with both local people and tourists alike. The colourful and lively atmosphere of the water market and its exotic delicacies is a fascinating and rewarding experience. Ever since the Myanmar government opened up its borders, the markets have been full of tempting souvenirs. In recent years, several Tabaung families have also settled at Inlay Lake. This people has become famous for its long-necked women. The next leg of the journey leads to a far more tranquil section of the lake that features the natural environment. A few moments later, a specialty of the Intha appears: floating gardens. These consist of a 100-meter long and around 2-meter wide carpet of water hyacinths that is densely interwoven. Even though the village of Khe La contains a large variety of splendid buildings, its main feature is located just outside the actual village. The Jumping Cats Monastery of Nga has become well known for the ring jumping tricks performed by its well-trained cats. There are frequent encounters with the local people as they work on their floating fields. When a fertile layer of soil has been formed, the gardens are towed to open water. Iwama is not only the largest village in this region, but it is also one of Inlay Lake's most popular sightseeing attractions. The Shan, who originate from this region, are a constant source of fascination for visiting tourists. The imaginative and colourful dances of the Shan are one of the main performing art forms in Southeast Asia. But the historical architecture of the Shan has now vanished forever. Although few tourists currently visit the village of Lay, the traffic on the canals is gradually increasing, and the nearby Mahamuni Pagoda has become a popular attraction in recent years. Even though the pagoda of the royal Bak was only built in the 1960s, it is today one of the most important religious centres at the lake. And once a year, a colourful pagoda festival is celebrated here. The number of villages in this area has increased dramatically. Today there are 37 villages around the lake with a total population of around 100,000. The village of Inle is renowned far beyond Myanmar for its high-quality silk. Virtually all of the silk weaving mills are open to the public. Burma is famous for its silk, and the various weaving techniques used vary from region to region. The village of Inle can be reached by boat and is a popular tourist destination. Its market seems to have an abundance of everything, including a large variety of exotic food, and business is flourishing. The main attraction is located outside the village. Hundreds of decayed stupas of Shan design are to be found around a kilometre from the village. This sacred location seems also to possess a unique and magical energy, a natural world full of warmth and magnificent beauty. Mandalay, the city of art, is located in the centre of Shan State. It was founded in 1857, and up until the British conquered it in 1885, it was the capital of the Kingdom of Burma. High walls and a moat protect the rectangular complex of the King's Golden City. Unfortunately, the palace, as well as the other buildings that were built of teak wood, burned down during the Second World War. Much concrete and corrugated iron has been used for the new buildings. "2,400 years after the death of Buddha, King Mindon ordered the 150,000 inhabitants of Amarapura to relocate here. An ancient prophecy had to be fulfilled, thus it was necessary to create a new city. When the city was relocated, the old palace, along with many other wooden buildings, were dismantled and rebuilt. And the throne room represented the center of the universe, Meadow Mountain. 3 times a year, the king met with his subjects on the mountain. The Mahamuni Pagoda is the center of worship. It's also where the Mahamuni Buddha is kept, the country's most highly worshipped Buddha statue. While the female pilgrims pour water over the tiny Buddha statues, the men apply gold leaf to the 4-meter-high Mahamuni figure. A large number of Burmese craftsmen have settled in the area south of the pagoda. They supply almost the entire country with their finely crafted Buddha figures. A large quantity of metallic Buddha objects, plus other deities, are also produced here. Wood carving is extremely important in Myanmar. production of gold leaf is a painstaking process. Small pieces of gold are thinned out manually, and the resultant foil is then applied to paper. King Mindon also ordered the construction of the Kutodor Pagoda. It was called the largest book in the world. During its 7 years of construction, the entire Buddhist doctrine was carved into 729 marble plates. In 1871, the king ordered that the 5th Buddhist World Synod be held in Mandalay. During the synod, 2,400 monks agreed to take part in a full ceremonial version of the Tipitaka, the text of which can be read on various plates. During the building of the palace, the Mahamuni Pagoda served as the provisional residence of King Mindon. The temple was dedicated to the younger brother of King Kanong. He was killed by King Mindon's sons during a palace revolt. But their plan failed. Although King Kanong and one of his brothers was killed, King Mindon survived and thus put an end to the attempted revolution. And there was no successor to the throne. The well-preserved Ashrae In Bin Monastery is one of the last examples of the traditional monasteries whose splendor once made Mandalay famous. The complex has all the architectural elements of a typical Burmese monastery. But it is its beautiful wood carvings that are the most striking thing. A tranquil place of contemplation that was originally financed by a gemstone trader of Chinese origin, in appreciation for the personal fortune that he had made here. In the shadow of Mandalay Mountain is the Kyauktorgi Paya. It is a replica of a pagoda of the same name situated in the ancient capital city of Amarapura. Within the entrance hall, traders sell souvenirs and paintings of Buddha. The sacred complex is a hive of activity. This Buddha statue is the center of worship. Situated around the 4 sides of the main shrine stand 20 figures, Buddha's disciples. To the north of the city is the 236-meter-high Mandalay Mountain that dominates the plains below. The tree-covered mountain is dominated by the towers of many temples. As Buddha once lived on this mountain, it is considered to be extremely sacred and thus contains several pagodas and shrines. Huge snakes protect this holy place from evil spirits. Buddha once predicted the creation of a large city at the foot of the mountain, and he was perhaps inspired by the wonderful sunsets that can be seen here. The journey on the Shan State Express begins early in the morning in Mandalay train station. It travels north and into the legendary realm of the Shan people. The journey leads through a wonderful mountain world and unspoiled nature. The train travels in a zigzag up the mountains. This enables it to negotiate severe slopes that would otherwise be impossible for it to climb vertically. It provides a fascinating insight into the culture and everyday life of the Shan people. The train stops frequently at various small stations. In Myanmar, they're proud of this century-old railway line, once owned by the Irrawaddy State Railway Company. The city of Luin, that is also known as Memo, was once a British military base. Even today, the city still has a certain air of nostalgia. Here, passengers are offered various refreshments, as the journey normally takes more than 12 hours. With the arrival of the railroad, an increasing number of small farming villages developed, most of which were populated by the Shan. For the country's rural population, the train is often the only means by which they can travel to urban areas, as much of the country is without a proper network of roads. The slow pace of the train accentuates the captivating landscape. There are usually quite a few people waiting expectantly for the arrival of the train. Picturesque landscapes flank the railway line that leads close to the famous Burma Road. Our next stop, Hsipaw train station, is situated outside the actual town. In addition to its historical significance as a former center of royal power, it is particularly known for its many celebrations and events. The inhabitants of Hsipaw are fond of their festivals. A large number of vehicles are imaginatively decorated on these occasions. The streets are full of noisy music. Dancing along, the children follow the parade through the town that has now become a great hive of activity. The colors and designs of the costumes seem to be without limit, and numerous mythological animals play an important role in the streets of Hsipaw. Around 12 kilometres beyond Hsipaw is the entrance to one of the most famous attractions in this northern Shan State, the legendary Bagyo Pagoda. Surrounded by a magnificent wall, it's thought that this sanctuary is more than 700 years old. An important festival takes place each year around Tabaung, the time of the full moon in February and March, and is the highlight of the town's cultural calendar. It is not only one of the largest pagoda festivals in the Shan State, but also in the whole of Myanmar. The richly decorated buildings are a fascinating sight. As with the Shan princes of the nearby town of Hsipaw, the former Salfas made several generous donations for the development of this temple. Even today, the beautiful decoration of the various temples and shrines has lost nothing of its atmospheric splendor of bygone times. The large number of donations and candles testify to the great importance that the Bagyo Pagoda has for the local population in this northern region of Myanmar. The interior of the sanctuary contains the temple's pride and glory, 4 highly worshipped Buddha figures. For several centuries, Buddhism has been an integral part of the cultural life of the Shan people. The fertile land is cultivated by hard-working farmers who use the most basic tools. For several years, the government has been waging a war against the drug trade here. Opium was once a highly profitable product in this region. The farmers here don't understand why the cultivation of the poppy is now forbidden. It once provided them with a better income than they have now. Hsipaw is both enchanting and modern. The laid-back atmosphere of Hsipaw is not to be found in this town that is 900 meters above sea level. For several centuries, Hsipaw has been a commercial town with close trading connections with China that is only around 100 kilometers away. The local market here is well worth a visit. The sight of so many goods is quite breathtaking. Fruit, spices, fresh vegetables, you name it. Here, everything is of the highest quality. It's a good idea to reserve as much time as possible for a visit to Hsipaw Market, as it really is a veritable paradise of fruit and vegetables. People from both the nearby mountain region and surrounding villages visit the city's most famous market, Mahamuni Market. A little off the main tourist route is Hsipao's most famous sanctuary, the Mansu Pagoda, built around a century ago. The Kuan-Yin San House Monastery and its adjacent temple highlight the influence of the Chinese population in the religious life of this city. Even though most of the buildings here are quite recent, having been built in the past 50 years or so, they're still most impressive. Various sacred sculptures and illustrations of ancient mythological creatures provide an insight into local arts and crafts. Kuan-Yin San House, that was only built a couple of years ago, is not only the largest Chinese monastery in the Shan State, but in the whole of Myanmar. This country is one of the most unique regions in Southeast Asia, and due to the extended train route from Mandalay to Hsipaw, the time is hopefully not far away when the poverty of this region will be replaced by a new era of well-deserved prosperity. The Shan people in the north of Myanmar have retained their cultural heritage. Shan State. an exotic combination of both nature and culture, a land of beauty and joie de vivre.